In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to solve rational equations. Now, this word rational basically just means an equation where there's fractions and there's a variable in the denominator. Okay, so if there is a variable like x in a denominator, it's called a rational expression or a rational equation. We have an equal sign here, so it's an equation. And we have an x in the denominator, so it's rational. Okay. Now, I want to remind you that when we learned how to solve equations that have denominators, we said that we can cancel the denominators by multiplying through the equation by the denominator. Now, do not mix that up with simplifying expressions. This is an equation, so we can use that technique. If I'm just trying to add two fractions like 3/5 plus 2/7, if there's no equal sign at all, I can't multiply by the denominators. I have to multiply by each thing by the other denominator. So that's a big difference. You can only do the canceling of the denominator when you're dealing with an equation. And we are, so we can cancel these denominators. Now you may say, well, I know to multiply by 5 to cancel the denominator here, but how do I cancel a denominator of x? By multiplying by x, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to cancel these two denominators by multiplying by x, and we're going to cancel this denominator by multiplying by 5. Now I want to remind you that when I multiply by for example, when I multiply by x here, it's going to cancel this denominator, but I still have to multiply the 6 up here by the x. If I can't cancel the denominator, then I have to multiply by the numerator. Okay? So here, x times 7 over x is going to cancel the denominator, and I'm going to have just 7. Plus, now, x times 6 over 5, it can't cancel the denominator, and therefore, it's going to be multiplied in the numerator. 6 times x is 6x, and then we're going to leave it over 5, equals x times 8 over x, same as the denominator, so we're going to cancel the denominator and just bring down the 8. And so that's our first step. That was pretty easy. Now what we're going to do is we're now going to multiply by this denominator, 5. When I multiply by 5, I have to multiply that 5 by the 7, and then cancel the denominator here, and then I also have to multiply it by the 8. So 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 6x over 5 cancels the denominator, so I'm just going to bring down the plus 6x, equals 5 times 8 is 40. And so now it's just a linear equation. We're going all the way back to lesson 1 here. I'm going to subtract 35 from both sides. Okay, that cancels here. Bring down the 6x. Bring down the equals. 40 minus 35 is 5. Divide by 6 on both sides, and my answer is x is equal to 5 over 6. And I'm done. That is solving a rational equation. And now I'm going to do one that's just a little more complicated than this one. Okay, this one has a couple denominators that are a little more complicated, but that's okay. We're still going to multiply by the denominator. Just do what I'm going to do. Now we are going to do something to simplify this a little bit. This 4x plus 12 is actually the same thing as 4 times x plus 3. That happens sometimes. Sometimes you'll get, it's multiplied out, but it'll have this other denominator with it. So if I divide this by 4, I get x. If I divide this by 4, I get 3. So this is actually 4 times x plus 3. So I'm going to write that underneath here. 4 times x plus 3. That's important when I cancel this denominator. You'll see what I mean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by the quantity x plus 3. When I multiply by x plus 3, it's going to cancel this denominator. Okay, so 6 over x plus 3 times x plus 3 is just 6. Minus, now I have 3 over 2. Well, x plus 3 is not 2, so I'm going to multiply the x plus 3 times the 3 in the numerator. And watch what I'm going to do. I'm just going to write 3 times x plus 3. I'm not going to distribute it right now. I'll do that later. So just be patient. I'm just going to put the x plus 3 in the numerator for now. Equals. Now when I multiply x plus 3 times 7 over 4 times x plus 3, There is an x plus 3 in the denominator, so those can cancel. But the 4 will not cancel because the 4 is not over here. So we'll leave the 4 and get rid of the x plus 3. So we keep the 7, keep the 4, cancel the x plus 3. It's already looking a lot easier, isn't it? Now it's very similar to the one we did a few minutes ago. Now we're going to multiply by 2 to get rid of this denominator. So multiply by 2. 2 times 6 is 12. Then 2 times this fraction, so minus, is just going to cancel the denominator. So all I have left is 3 times x plus 3 equals. Now 2 can sort of, it's related to 4, but it's not 4. So we're going to multiply 2 times 7. That's 14. And leave it over 4. And now one more time, we have one more denominator to cancel. We're going to cancel 4. 4 times 12 is 48. 4 times this 3 here is 12. So minus 12, and it still has this x plus 3 on it. We only have to multiply the 4 times the 3. Okay? Equals, and now 4 times 14 over 4 cancels the denominator, and we now have 14. Now, to be able to solve this, we're now going to take this negative 12, and we're going to multiply it by the x. We're going to distribute it, multiply it by the x, and then multiply it by the 3. So we're going to have 48. Then negative 12 times x is negative 12x. Then negative 12 times 3 is negative 36 equals 14. And now it's just a linear equation. We can combine the 48 minus 36. That's 12. So we now have 12 minus 12x is equal to 14. And now we can, I'm going to add 12x to both sides because I want my x term to be positive. 12x, it's just a preference thing. So now I have 12 is equal to 14 plus 12x. Now I'm going to subtract 14 here, cancel. 12 minus 14 is negative 2 equals 12x. Divide by 12, and now I have x is equal to negative 2 over 12, but that can be reduced because the numerator can be divided by 2 and the denominator can be divided by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I have negative 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6, and so the final answer is x is equal to negative 1/6. Now, if I went a little fast there or it was just a little confusing at a couple points, watch the video. Watch this one right here. Watch it 2 or 3 times. It only took a couple minutes. Watch it a couple times, and it'll feel a lot better.